Hi guys and welcome, or welcome back as the case may be. I am Enigmius and welcome to episode 2 of the Builder's Guide to Feed the Beast. Today, we're going to pick up where we left off in the last episode and we're going to continue focusing on infrastructure, getting everything in place so that we've got the machines that we need, the power that we need, the space that we need to do the things that we want to do, and then we can build on everything from there. Now, normally, and what I had originally planned was this episode we were going to just start building machines. We're going to make geothermal generator and a bat box and the normal furnace and macerator and all that other stuff. And then I got to thinking, first of all, it's a little too early to be leaving the Greg Tech folks behind. Some of you are going to be playing with Greg Tech. There's a little bit of a difference in the progression, and it would be very, very easy for me to just focus on the machines that may not be accessible to you under Greg Tech. But for the people who have it disabled or who have gone and made a mess of the config file, will be completely fine. So today, we're going to take a slightly different angle that should work for everyone, regardless of whether or not you are playing with Greg Tech. And what we're going to be doing is getting a foothold in the Nether so that we can get even more sustainable power. We can get the Greg Tech folks within striking distance of the things they need to make blast furnaces so they can keep up with us when we move on to better tools, things of that nature. And so, in order to support that, I'm actually here in the basement of my tower facility, my nice glass floors, all kinds of room for future development. I'm going to go over this in a little bit more detail, what my plans are and the reasons that I've come up with such a large facility in a future episode, not too distant future. But for today, the reason why I'm here is because I have access to both lava and water. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining this, but eventually we are going to be making some magma crucibles for you guys because it's just such a convenient way to generate lava without having to worry about setting up railcraft stuff and mistcraft and all that to the Nether and back and forth. That's something that we can do later on. Remember, we're like day 3 in our Minecraft world already. I'm not... I don't want to give you guys strategies that you have to play for a week before they become viable for you. I want things based on the materials that you have ready access to that you can use to get yourself squared away. So that's what we're going to do. Now, we're not making magma crucibles right now. I'm just showing you these. This is where my lava is coming from, as I've got these guys converting netherrack, hint, hint, to lava. In this tank here, this is one of the railcraft tanks, and for some reason the new trend is to measure everything in millibuckets, so you have to divide everything by 1,000 to get a feel for how many buckets you have. So in this tank currently I have the equivalent of 374 buckets of lava out of a maximum of 6,272. So I guarantee you I did not carry 374 buckets of lava from some pool off in the distance somewhere, but in the last episode, that's what we did. We got yourself squared away with a source for lava. And what we need to do right now is we're not actually worried so much about the lava as we are about making obsidian without access to diamonds to make a diamond pick. I hate wasting diamonds on diamond pickaxes this early in the game. And the Greg Tech folks, without steel, are not even going to be making like drills. So, I mean, my thing is, you can see right now in my hand is a diamond drill. Actually, this is the advanced diamond drill that's spelled wrong. I just noticed that. Yeah, it's the advanced diamond drill. But once you've got a diamond drill, you're in pretty good shape. And that's sort of what we're working towards. And this here is water. I've got 217 buckets worth of water. And that's fed by basically an infinite water source with a pump to a magnetic, being powered by a magnetic engine. You can see magma flowing to the engine, and it pumps water into here. It's not running right now. Magmatic engines have a tendency to overheat and freeze up, and then you have to go around and bap them with a wrench, and I just can't be bothered right now. So enough rambling, enough wasting time. First thing we need, this is the one thing that you need if you want the easy way to make obsidian without needing a diamond pick or without having to set up a form system and carrying buckets of water and lava all over the place to get things done for your portal. And that is, you need to make yourself an igneous extruder. Now, one thing that I want to point out, I don't do links to wikis for machine blocks in the comments section or in the descriptions of my videos, but NEI, not enough items, makes it real easy to track stuff down. So you see igneous extruder, you got an idea of how to spell it. You bring up your shenanigan like this, you type IGNE, Igni. There you go. There's your recipe. Looks a little bit kind of wonky right now, but the piston, nothing special here. Wood you can get. Cobblestone, if you can't find cobblestone, I can't help you. And you've got iron, redstone, all this stuff. I mean, you've got a bedrock mining facility, courtesy of the last episode and your own hard work. So this stuff is readily accessible to you. You've also got the machine frame, which might sound a little bit crazy, but it's not. You should have no trouble finding a little bit of sand. You might not be necessarily right next to a desert biome, but chances are anywhere where you find water, there's going to be sand at the bottom of it. You can pull up 4, 5, 6, blocks of sand, put it in your cobblestone furnace if that's all you've got. Make yourself some glass. You got some gold, got some iron. And then this guy, you see that and you wonder, it's the same thing. It's iron, it's glass, it's redstone. So there's nothing here that you can't make with materials that should already be readily accessible to you. And then once you have it made, one of the things that I love about this is it doesn't take any form of power. It doesn't need any form of power whatsoever. You don't have to hook it up to electricity. You don't have to hook it up to a motor. Just look at the UI here, igneous extruder, and there's a tank on either side. And then you can select, you can have it make cobblestone, you can have it make stone, or you can have it make obsidian. Obsidian is what we want. So we're going to click on that. And then I'm going to take these buckets over here. Just pretend I'm going to your lava pool. Right? Here's your lava pool. Oh, I got myself a bucket of lava. Here's your favorite source of water, wherever that happens to be. I got myself a bucket of water. And then you take and you put one in here, and it puts it in that tank. You take out the bucket. You take in your bucket of water, and it puts it in that tank. You take the bucket out. And you see they merge together. Obsidian, just like that. So now, if you're making a portal to the Nether, you'll need a minimum of 10 obsidian blocks. So how many buckets you want to make to save yourself trips running back and forth, how many buckets you need, it's entirely up to you exactly how you want to do that. But compared to some of the other alternatives, this basically lets you spot this simple, inexpensive machine that doesn't require any kind of power wherever you want it. Make your obsidian blocks, and then once you've got the obsidian blocks, you can set up your Nether portal wherever you happen to want to put it, which is much better than, for example, building your Nether portal right next to your lava pool down in, your bedrock mining sort of layer with all kinds of crap and monsters around and things of that nature. So we're heading outside now. I've obviously got another portal already set up, and I went too far. And I don't feel like jumping out a window. Here we go. So this is my Nether portal. Now, if you're heading into the Nether, if you're not familiar with the Nether or you're not comfortable with the Nether, what I recommend, particularly if this is your first time in, is that you bring, I would say, a stack of dirt, 1 or 2 stacks of cobblestone. If you feel like investing in armor, it is not at all a bad idea, although I don't plan on encouraging you to fight anything in here right now. You also want an extra flint and steel and a chest. I always like to, as soon as I get into the Nether, you'll see when we go across, I like to set up a safe little spot around the portal. Here's a pigman coming out. He's I guess he doesn't want us to go to the Nether. Or maybe he's just saying hi and welcoming us to the Nether. There we go. I like to set up a chest, and I put an extra flint and steel in a chest on the Nether side. So if something happens that extinguishes your Nether portal while you're in the Nether, you have the immediate means to reignite it. This guy, I think we'll leave him alone for now. He doesn't seem to be interested in hurting anyone. Maybe he's just taking a look around. So we're going to pass on through to the Nether here. So here we are in the Nether. I don't know who shot me on my way through the portal, but I can only assume there's a skeleton on the other side. That wasn't very nice, Mr. Skeleton. Now, I mentioned a chest with flint and steel. That's basically, I do that with every Nether portal that I've ever had. Just peace of mind, really, is you don't really want to get stuck here without flint and steel, especially without the Nether ores add-on. Basically be no way out. There's nowhere to get leather. There's nowhere to get, anything to make books. You'd be in trouble. So make sure that if your portal gets extinguished, you've got that covered. You can see I've built sort of a little bunker around it. There's nothing large, nothing extravagant. Now, if you're playing without Greg Tech, there's basically two things that you want to be looking for while you're here. One is netherrack, which you should have no difficulty finding whatsoever. This is what you would feed to a magma crucible to actually, you know, it's probably one of the best ways to get a continuous supply of lava is just farm up as much netherrack as you have the patience or the inventory to hold and just set it in a chest beside a magma crucible, or like in my case, I've got 6 of them stacked one on top of the other, and just let them go. And you'll get plenty of lava to keep a geothermal generator going without any difficulty. The other thing that you want is glowstone, and that's necessary for things like advanced circuits. If you want to make a jetpack, I always, as soon as I can get my hands on a jetpack, that's exactly what I do. I really like being able to, you know, fly. And the jetpack is the least expensive opportunity to do that, the electric jetpack specifically. If you're playing with Greg Tech installed, or if you just want to dive right into the Railcraft stuff right away, you can also kind of maybe start looking into materials for a blast furnace. Now, I don't know if there was a change to Minecraft or if this was just a freakishly good setup for the Nether, but I've got soul sand like all over the place. There's a bunch down there. There's some down there. That's one of the key ingredients. You can compress netherrack to nether brick, which I didn't know until I started playing Feed the Beast. So that's, you know, one option taken care of if you're having a difficult time finding a nether fortress. Soul sand, nether fortress brick, whatever it's called, nether brick. And the only other thing that you need is magma cream, and you can get that one of two ways. Piggy just took a tumble. One is to find magma cubes. Not always easy. You can see, I mean, obviously I've got the jetpack here. I can traverse the landscape much quicker and easier than someone who is footbound. And I'm not seeing any magma cubes flopping around here. The alternative, which is more reliable but more dangerous, is to find another fortress and go after some blazes, get the blaze rods, and macerate those to blaze powder. Then combine the blaze powder with slime balls from slimes in the overworld to make your magma cream, and then you can start making your blast furnace bricks and assemble your blast furnace. It's not quick, it's not easy. I know that there's an industrial blast furnace being added to one of the future iterations of Greg Tech. Currently, based on the materials that I've seen, you're probably better off just building the old school Railcraft blast furnace. But that's the option. The idea is, ideally, with the way these mod packs are set up, Feed the Beast, Technic, if you're familiar with those ones, there's no reason to be wasting materials in tools that keep breaking on a regular basis when you can make rechargeable tools and just have them. And then, because if I wanted to play vanilla Minecraft where all you do is build rectangles and dig, I would play vanilla Minecraft. There's so much more in these mod packs that doesn't hinge around digging and all that other stuff, that if I can liberate myself from the necessity of replacing my tools all the time, so much the better. I'd rather have those resources applied to something else. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking at probably in the next episode, is getting set up with the rechargeable tools. But for today, we've got you here. You've got a portal. You've got ready access to the Nether now. You've got access to netherrack. You've got access to lava. One way or the other, it's time to look at a geothermal generator. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And magically, we're back here in the overworld. This is sort of my temporary workroom. It is, I warn you now, a disaster. I always have a room like this when I'm in sort of the early to early mid-game, where I've just kind of thrown things in place, pending advances in technology, to make it a little bit easier. We're here talking about getting yourself squared away with a geothermal generator for your initial power supply, and the 4 basic machines that you just cannot live without. Now, unfortunately, this is the point where the Greg Tech people sort of diverge from the non-Greg Tech people, depending on configs and all that other stuff. So if I mention a machine and you try to make it and it doesn't let you, it's Greg Tech, and I can't cover it all. So we're going to, first of all, let's talk about the geothermal generator. Now, we've secured a lava source, and we've secured access to the Nether, which in itself is basically the biggest lava source you could ever possibly want to come across. We've also got a source of netherrack, so that if you want to make a magma crucible, you can do that. It's a little bit beyond what we're talking about here today. I will be talking about it in detail in the future, in the not too distant future. But for today, we're just focusing on the geothermal generator. And the recipe is not really all that complicated. It's a furnace combined with some stuff, with some things. So there's a little bit more glass here. There's refined iron, which is just iron passed through a furnace again. Empty cell, which is 4 pieces of tin. Makes 16 empty cells, or 8 empty cells if you're playing with Greg Tech. Lucky you. And then we've got the generator itself, which is not particularly complicated. You're looking at an iron furnace, 3 refined iron bars, and an RE battery. The RE battery, this is probably one of the first uses you'll have for copper cable, but we got yourselves, we got you squared away with rubber trees in the last episode, so you should have access to rubber to make the copper cables. Use a tree tap. You can just use any tree tap, if you haven't done so already, to knock the little yellow knobbies off the rubber trees, and then pass them through a furnace in this early game before you have an extractor to get rubber, and then you make the copper cables, right? Rubber, 3 copper. Then you've got the iron furnace itself, which I recommend you go with the bottom recipe here. This one, 8 iron ingots. This one, 5 iron ingots and a furnace. 8 cobblestone is much, much easier to come across than iron. But it's up to you. If you got lots of iron and you don't care, make whatever you want. I'm not going to make fun of you for it. So not a very complicated recipe. Once you've got it in place, it's time to hook up some machines to it. Now you can see here, it's really, really simple. Same copper cable that you used in the recipe to make the RE batteries, you can set down and connect machines together with it. Now the thing is, geothermal generator is low voltage, and all the machines we're going to be making are low voltage, so you don't have to worry about transformers or different kinds of cables. That's a later episode or something that you can sort of look up on your own. Got the geothermal generator. We've got copper cable to string everything together. So now let's talk about the machines. Now the first machine is the electric furnace. Basically, you've got the lava. You've got lava being used as a fuel. And now instead of burning up all your coal or wood or whatever the hell you're feeding into your normal cobblestone furnace, you can run it on the electricity generated by the geothermal generator. So this is probably one of the first machines that I would make. And it's not particularly complicated. You want the plain electric furnace. It's an electronic circuit, which is just more copper cable, refined iron, 2 redstone, all materials that you have access to because you have a bedrock mine, right? You shouldn't have any trouble finding any redstone. The iron furnace that we just made for the geothermal generator, that should be very, very familiar to you. And a couple of more pieces of redstone gives you an electric furnace. You don't have to worry about burning up all your coal anymore. Love that. This is probably one of the more important machines that you'll be using. This is the macerator, and this is where Greg Tech definitely takes a right-hand turn, and we're going left. The macerator takes ore, like the ore that you dig up out of the ground, and turns it into dust. 1 ore goes into 2 dust, and then you take those 2 dust and you put them through a furnace, and each dust becomes an ingot. So basically you're doubling the number of ingots you get out of each ore block. The macerator, again, it's not a particularly complicated or expensive recipe. You want the plain one. The rotary macerator is a little bit beyond us right now. The plain macerator is a machine block, very simple. 8 refined iron. The electronic circuit, 2 cobblestone, 3 flint. Easy, macerator. The third machine is actually... We'll do the extractor first. The compressor is sort of like the bonus machine to do the cool stuff, but the extractor is the one that actually saves you materials in the early going. This is the tier 2 centrifuge extractor, but we're really wanting to look at the basic extractor. The centrifuge extractor does the same thing. It's just got more slots to store the result, and it's faster. But the extractor itself is, again, not really all that complicated to make. This guy here is another electronic circuit, another machine block, and 4 tree taps. Now, you should already know how to make these, and you should be using these to pull the little yellow knobbies off of your rubber trees. And no, you can't use your half-broken tree tap in this recipe. You have to use 4 new ones. Trust me, I've already tried. That's it. Machine block circuit, 4 tree taps makes you an extractor. What this does is right now, if you're putting your sticky resin in a furnace, it gives you 1 rubber. If you take that same sticky resin and put it in an extractor, you get 3 rubber. Not only that, but if you're culling your trees by chopping them down and then gathering up the saplings and replanting them, you're going to have rubber wood. If you put that rubber wood in a furnace, you get charcoal. If you put that rubber wood in an extractor, you get one rubber. So it's basically making sure that you're getting more rubber than if you were just, you know, stuffing everything into a furnace. So the last thing, the last machine, the big four, is the compressor. Now, the reason why I say this is the cool stuff and not necessarily the highest priority is because the things that you make with it are more along the lines of components for advanced machines and nano armor. We're going to be talking about that. So it's not a really complicated recipe for this one either. But if you don't have all the materials to make the machines all at one time, I would say leave this one for last. It's the same thing: machine block, electronic circuit, and 6 stone. Now you can make the stone in an igneous extruder, the same thing that we used to make the obsidian if you wanted, or you can just take 6 pieces of cobblestone and stuff it in a furnace and it'll come out as stone. So it's not a particularly complicated recipe, but it is necessary in order to make the advanced stuff. So that's it. Geothermal generator and the 4 basic machines. Once you've got those in place, you're basically positioned to refine everything that you're pulling out of the ground or chopping down or whatever into the components that you will need to make the more advanced stuff. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next episode. We're going to talk about some energy storage solutions. We're going to be talking about upgrading our tools to things that don't wear out and break all the time. And I think we'll actually cap it off by talking about how to throw together your first suit of nano armor. And I'll get ready for all the claims of OP. So that's it. That's been this episode. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope it's useful to you up to this point. If you want to be notified when I add the next episode, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel. So thanks for watching and take care, guys.